Alright, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, so let's get into why my opponent will not be resting well tonight. We start with e4, c6, d4, d5, and my opponent goes with e5, the advanced variation. I like this, and I normally, of course, play the move bishop f5. This is just my bread and butter here. Bishop f5 is one of my favorite lines in the advanced. The computer always thinks that it's bad for some reason. The computer always thinks that, like, oh, white is bad or white is plus 0.5 or whatever. I don't care. Computer isn't me. I'm not the computer. My opponent goes for this variation of the advance, which can translate into the Panov very easily. Normally the f4 move is I kind of situate that as the Panov variation in my head. I know it's not, but for some reason I just recollect it like that. I play e6, my opponent goes knight f3, and I play c5, my opponent goes for this move a3. And now, of course, I am comfortably better because a3 does absolutely nothing, and I can simply put up the pressure on the d4 pawn by playing the move knight to c6. And my opponent thinks we're well here. My opponent eventually, I was kind of prepared for him to play c3 because I thought c3 is kind of what he wants to do, right? c3 makes a lot of sense. He gets the pawn where it needs to be, defending this pawn, and everything seems very equal. But knight c6, my opponent ends up playing this move bishop to e3, and I'm already better. I of course play the best move because I know what I'm doing. I play the best move. I play queen b6. Very little time spent. This move is very easy to play. Basically, he's starting to take my pawn, right? So why not defend it and attack one of his pawns at the same time? That looks pretty good. I don't know anything about chess, but that looks like a pretty decent way to play it. Either way, my opponent ends up going b3. Very reasonable move, defending the pawn, and I take on d4, and I'm already much better at the opening. My opponent thinks here and plays the move bishop f2, which gets a little inaccuracy from the computer overlords because bishop f2 is, it's just, he's saying that he is going to be able to take the pawn eventually and he doesn't need to take it right now, and I understand that, but bishop f2 is a little passive, it's a little weak. I'm not too sure that it's that good, but you know what, don't listen to me, listen to my moves. I end up already making a mistake. I play rook c8 because I was thinking, okay, well, this is a semi-open file, right? When the knight moves, I'm going to have good pressure against the c-pawn. But I kind of miss some of the points of this. Like, of course, you know what happened. Thumbnail said it all. Thumbnail and title said it all. I missed some of the ideas of this. I thought that rook c8, I'd just be able to win this pawn in the future. But I was always kind of missing this move c3 that could happen. I was missing that my knight actually struggles to move here because this pawn is actually quite weak, and I want to when my opponent captures the other knight or the bishop, I want to recapture. I'm going to recapture that firstly. So it's actually a little tricky to do this right now, and rook c8 was a little bit of a bad move. Technically, I should have probably played the move knight h6, which makes sense. It prevents g4 in some lines, and my knight might be able to go to the f5 square once the bishop moves. Maybe it'll drop back and something like that, or maybe the bishop will go forward and something like that. Anything could happen, but knight h6 would have been very reasonable. Rook c8, my opponent goes bishop d3, a miss, and I immediately make another bad move. I immediately play bishop g4. And this one is a little easier to explain. Bishop g4 is a little easier to explain of a move because I'm an idiot, and yeah. Bishop g4, it's just not where the bishop needs to be. Like, if I wanted to play a move, I had this idea immediately after playing knight h6, and I realized I blundered here because, well, didn't blunder, I made a mistake here because knight h6 would have just been much better. For example, bishop takes, knight takes, I am incredibly in the driver's seat. If my opponent lashes out with g4, what is he even doing? I can even go knight e3 here, which is incredible. I can even go knight e3, and then this pawn is, it seems weak, but it's not. It seems weak, but I'm actually completely in control, and I'd be simply winning the game much quicker. Either way, knight h6 would have been a much better move. Even bishop d3 would have been better. Even bishop g6 would have probably been better, but I end up playing bishop g4, and this isn't good. Bishop g4 just isn't good. It's moving away from where I need to be. My opponent goes knight bd2. I go knight h6 here, and like I said, told you I saw this idea right after. Knight h6, some of the idea was to, after h3, I was probably going to go bishop f5. And then, I mean, I don't even know what I was thinking. I just wasted tempo. My opponent castles. I go bishop e2, because I think it's very reasonable. I'm developing a piece. The engine hates it for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a low-level engine. The higher level engine in the analysis thinks it's fine. But I didn't see anything wrong with this move. My opponent plays b4. Yeah, I really would like to hide these little symbols, but because look, the engine doesn't care. Plus 0.26 to plus 0.26. Like, it's even better. It's growing. It's growing. Like, what is that supposed to? Why would the higher level engine not care, and the lower level engine thinks it's the worst thing ever made ever? I don't know. Don't care. Don't think about it. I go bishop f5 because I think it's reasonable. I know I wasted a move here, but sometimes you got to cut your losses, and I know that I messed up. So bishop f5, after takes, I'd get a knight here, and I might be able to play knight e3 and hold on to my extra pawn, and then I might be okay. My opponent plays queen e2, and I play this move a5 without much thought. He gets another orange question mark. A5 I thought made sense, really. I guess the reason I played a5, was mostly so that after like b5, I'd have a target. He'd go a4, and then takes, and then I'd play this move rook c3. Technically, I did miss that he has the move bishop d4 here, but either way, that was my plan. But after a5, b5, I played knight a7, which was my whole idea. I'm trushing the pawn, and my opponent plays a4. I took on d3. This is my plan, right? I told you I wanted to play rook c3, and here I realized that rook c3 doesn't work, because rook c3, I realized bishop d4. As you can see, bishop d4, I'd lose the game. It's here, two pieces hang, and yeah, that'd be game over. I'd lose. What I'd have to do I'd have to go here, and then knight c8. Yeah, that's not good. I wouldn't like that, so I'm not gonna do that. And I instead play this move knight f5, and the reason I play knight f5 is just because I want to play rook c3, and by defending this pawn, I thought that maybe I could get a chance of doing that. I thought that seems reasonable. My opponent plays knight d4. I take, bishop takes. Bishop takes is a big mistake. He had a win here. He missed a win. Queen d4 is winning. Queen d4 isn't winning. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess not. Yeah. Wait. Oh, I guess I can't take. But what do I... Oh, I have bishop c5. I completely missed that, actually. For some reason, I thought this rook wasn't defending that square. Whatever. Either way, I'm an idiot. Takes. My opponent takes back with the bishop. And I play bishop c5 now, because I don't know, pinning is nice. And I'm threatening him, so my opponent plays knight f3, and now I think I'm better. At this point in the game, I think that I've successfully maneuvered through my mistakes, and now I think that I'm probably in the driver's seat. I castle. My opponent plays h3. Kind of a nothing burger of a move. He's just doing something, trying to make me, passing the move back off to me, basically. I play rook c7, and this is a multi-purpose move. Rook c7 is multi-purpose. One of the ideas is to play knight c8 here, like this incredible reroute, because my knight is terrible. My knight is awful. I think anyone with a brain can see that. My knight is terrible, and also I might want to double up on this diagonal on this file in the future. Not right now, but maybe after he plays b6. I don't know, maybe after he plays b6 and I get knight c6 or something. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. My opponent goes king h2, taking himself out of the pin, and I take. And for some reason, it gets missed from the computer, even though it gives him a plus 0.1 advantage. My opponent takes back with a knight, and I go rook c4, which was another point of my idea. I'm targeting the knight. I'm targeting the knight and I'm targeting a pawn. And I'm also targeting this pawn, and everything looks like it's doing good for me. My opponent probably could play this move. Maybe not. Maybe what my opponent did was good. It does get a mistake by the engine. My opponent plays knight e2. It's a bad move. I don't know what else you'd play here. I guess... Where else would you put the knight? F3 loses a pawn. I guess this is the only place? No. Then what is the idea? Oh, the idea is c3. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's cool, actually. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. c3 is a tough move to find, and my opponent didn't find it. Opponent played knight e2. I didn't think this was that good. I thought the knight was better positioned probably on this square if he was going to move his knight back on with anything. Knight f3 maybe made sense too, even though it does lose a pawn. He might have some compensation for it. I go knight c8, which is part of my plan. Remember, my plan was to bring my knight back into the game. My opponent plays f5, and I thought I actually won the game here. I thought I was winning. I thought f5 was a big mistake because I win a pawn, queen c7, and that's a fork. That's a fork of this and a fork of that. That's just a simple fork. But I miss his idea. He goes queen here, and I blunder. It's an incredible blunder. I just completely miss his plan, and I take this pawn for free. But I lose. f6. And it's not over. I'm actually completely busted here. This is very hard. What I should have done, probably should have taken first. I probably should have gone here, and then here. Maybe not even. Maybe 97 first. Maybe 97 is the point. Here I go knight g6. I have pressure on this pawn. This pawn is a goner. Yeah, that's actually it's not because he has this. It's still not over. It's still tricky. I guess I have this move now. Yeah, and then this is where the line ends. Yeah. That would have been cool if I saw that, but I completely missed that f6 was so good. And I thought his only idea was to take on e6 because I got a little bit of tunnel vision. It's a syndrome of us chess players. So I took on c2. I thought here for a while, though, admittedly. I thought for 20 seconds. My opponent played f6. I played g6 because it's the only move. I mean, I can't defend the g7 square with any other way. My opponent goes knight d4. I go rook back. And my opponent simply loses all his advantage. Very, very nice. But he does have compensation. It's only plus 0.3. I mean, plus 0.1, actually. It's only plus 0.1, minus 0.1. And he loses all his advantage, but he has a decent amount of compensation for the pawn. The reason why he does this, the best way to play here, actually, is it the only way? Let me check lines. No, there's a lot of ways to play here. Yeah, queen g5 is one of the ways. Yeah, queen g5, king h8. King h8 is the only move because I'm defending. Because of queen h6, I'd have rook g8. Whoa, what? Oh yeah, queen h6 I'd take first, and then I'd have rook g8. So that would be bad, but my opponent has this move, rook f4, I believe. After king h8, my opponent has a rook f4, and then he wins. Then this is winning the game. And that would be bad. That's pretty much the only way he's going to win the game with some sort of attack like that. He has other lines too that keep advantage, but queen g5 is of course the most forcing and probably the best line. Rook c4, my opponent goes knight f3, and I go h6, and now I'm back in the game. Back to equal, but I'm pushing because I have an extra pawn. Don't forget, I have an extra pawn. This pawn is weak, and I'm actually okay. The only reason why he's better here is because what's equal here is because he has this horrendous attack. My rook is kind of stuck. Those are the only two reasons why he might have any chance of winning this game. That's why I have to be wary. My opponent decides to go rook fe1, and I didn't understand this move. I thought this move did nothing, except defend the pawn. He's defending the pawn a little bit more, I guess. I guess he's trying to prevent rook e4 and then having both his pieces glued, but this is dubious. This is very dubious. I didn't think it was that bad. I just brought my knight back into the game, knight b6, and now I'm winning the a4 pawn at some point. I don't have to win it immediately, but Knight a4 is absolutely a threat. And I was, of course, calculating h4, h5 here, but I didn't think it was that good. My opponent plays knight h4. Of course, he's trying to maybe sacrifice on g6, and it's probably fine. Like, let's say if I do nothing. Yeah, actually, this is losing. Yeah, this is lost, but how is this losing, actually? How is he checkmating me? This move, probably. Yeah, okay, that move. And he'd be winning here. I don't want to lose the game, obviously, so I didn't go for this, and I simply played the move rook h7 because rook h7 made king h7 just made sense. I'm defending the g6 pawn against any sacrifices, and I'd be okay no matter what. My opponent goes back to f3 because he's scared, and I can sense that the type of the game is changing. I'm trying to find the right word. Gosh, what is it? The motion of the game is changing. The fluidity of it, I guess. And the current is shifting. So now I take on a4 because I think it's safe. My opponent plays h4. Of course, he's trying to like checkmate me, blah blah blah, trying to checkmate me, bring his h pawn. But I didn't see any danger, and I just went knight b2 with a very interesting idea. Knight b2 has the idea of playing knight d3 and then knight f4. And there's actually a trap that my opponent can set, and he sees it. I didn't see it when I played this move. I saw it after. I saw it like now. My opponent plays h5. I played g5, of course. The trap is after knight d3. My opponent probably can go g6 here and then this move. Oh no. Oh, what? Why not? He has a draw. The eval bar doesn't lie, but oh, knight h4. No. What could it be? What could it possibly be? Turn on it. Lines. He has like a lot of moves, actually. I guess. Okay, I don't really understand many of these moves, but rook f1 seems like the most understandable of the top engine moves. I guess the ender just thinks it's a draw. I don't know. It's still a game, so I don't really care. I go g5 because I want to keep everything locked down. My opponent goes king h1. Obviously, he's trying to set the trap because now knight d3. Now knight d3, he has this move. He has this move knight g5. But I'm fine, and I see the trap. So I make one more improving move. I play rook g8. My opponent goes rook b1. And now that my opponent's taken his eyes off the a5 pawn, that's another point of my position. My queen has to defend this pawn, and that'd be bad. Now I go knight d3, and it's the best move. Knight d3, and I'm not scared of his idea. Obviously, he plays his idea. He plays idea in 1 second, and I think he thought that I didn't see this. I saw this immediately. It is very, very simple. I just played rook g5, and that's another reason why I played my rook to g8. Now, after queen here, king back, this pawn is a massive weakness. If queen h3, for example, I'm probably just going to win the pawn in the future. Actually, queen h3 just loses the e5 pawn, so he's very, very poorly spent. And I'd just be winning the pawn there, so I wasn't scared. Now, queen d3 happens, of course. I play king g8. I actually had a decent thought about which move was better, if king h8 or king g8 was better. But either way, king g8, my opponent plays b6. I first decide to take on h5. My opponent goes king g1, and I have this move queen c5, and queen e3. I thought, okay, well, he's losing another pawn here, might as well take another. Rook e5, and all things come to an end. Queen takes, rook takes with check, rook takes, and rook takes queen. b6 pawn is a terrible weakness. f6 pawn is a terrible weakness. My a pawn is a great strength. I'm up 40 seconds on the clock. This is, of course, losing. I was kind of prepared for my opponent to resign at any point, but I'll just show you how the game ended. Rook a1, king h7, king up, I take this pawn. king up, I give him a check, and then I push a4. My opponent comes here, I don't lose any pawns. My opponent comes back to b1, I push again. Rook b3, and here my opponent just lost on time, but obviously the position was lost. He didn't really have anything to play for. So that was a pretty decent game. I played this game at 2300 estimated and 85%, so pretty average, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found this instructive, and maybe y'all can also beat some strong players like this. Yeah, good evening and good night.